afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Crystal Clear Show. I'm your host, Crystal, and it's my passion to help professionals 30 and over to get unstuck with from their corporate 9 to 5 jobs to launch and grow a successful six-figure business with my crystal clear blueprint. And today's guest, let's welcome Gordon Duncan. Gordon is the driving force behind capitalized marketing and consulting. He empowers real estate professionals, coaches, and entrepreneurs to amplify their marketing efforts and boost their revenue at the core of capitalized offerings. And its unique Capitalize Your Best program, designed exclusively for revenue growth. This standout program promises not just results, but a guaranteed ROI, setting it apart in the world of marketing and coaching. Beyond his professional achievements, Gordon's personal life is marked by deep commitment and resilience. He shares nearly 3 decades of marriage with his wife, Amy, and together they've raised three remarkable daughters. A 10-time Amazon best-selling author, Gordon doesn't conquer challenges in the marketing world. He's also an epilepsy warrior. His passion for running is evident in his impressive track record of 28 marathons, including the prestigious Boston Marathon in 2022. For anyone looking to elevate their marketing game and see tangible growth in their business, Gordon offers the expertise, tools, and personal dedication to help them capitalize on their strengths and achieve unparalleled success. Please welcome Gordon Duncan in Crystal Clear Show. Welcome, Gordon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Crystal. I'm really honored to be on your show. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to spending this time with you.
I am too. I'm so excited. Your resume, wow, they're just amazing. 10-time Amazon book-selling author. Wow. I'm just I have just partnered with two. I'm looking forward to partner with another group, but well, I'm sure you wrote your book by yourself. So I'm still getting the courage to write my books by myself. Wow, it's amazing. And 28 marathons. I barely walk 30-minute 2 kilometer walk, but 28 marathons is really wow, amazing.
Well, well, I respect any type of movement, whether we're walking or running. I mean, just the most important thing is we move. But I absolutely love marathon running. It's one of those things I just have a passion for, and it's enabled me to remain healthy as I get older. So it's just one of those things I love.
Yes, well, and admire people like you who keeps on getting better for themselves. I actually, this lady, I was in the gym this morning. I was swimming, and there's a 93-year-old lady who's speaking with me, and she's so fit. She doesn't look 90. She looks probably 75 or something.
Wow.
But when I learned about her age and I asked her, "What's your secret?" She said, "Well, coming here to this gym has helped me tremendously in my mental health, physical health." And she was chatting with another 92-year-old lady, but the difference is 20 years of difference because she works out well and she loves life. You know, you can see in her face how she loves life. So she says, don't stop. If you
Yep.
ever feel that you want to quit, still go on, move forward, just go and keep on doing what you love. So I'm inspired by people like you and her.
Well, thank
So
you. I know that as we get older, the first thing we lose is mobility and
yeah,
strength. And
yeah.
I try to start every single day with movement. And
Mhm.
it goes a long way to protecting me, and it gives me energy, it gives me strength, it gives me, just an enthusiasm for the day. But it protects me, and as far as I can tell, it keeps me a little bit younger.
Right. How do you prepare for a marathon, Gordon?
Well, preparing for a marathon takes somewhere around 12 to 16 weeks of specific training. And usually There's a type of running called intervals, which are really short distance sprints. Something called mid-tempo is when you hold a regular pace for a longer time, and then you have a longer run every weekend, which can be 16, 18, 20 miles. In between that, and those days when you're not doing that, you just run mileage really, really slow. So it takes a lot of mileage to protect yourself to be able to run that long of a distance. But it takes about 12 to 16 weeks to prepare to run one well and to run them healthily.
But I guess you don't stop after the marathon. You keep on going and you keep on moving.
Yeah, after marathon, you want to give your body a little bit of time to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And with some really light running the week or two afterwards. But for me, my goal is to just maintain that base of running, that health. So even if I'm not training, like right now, I'm not training for a marathon, I'm going to maintain a consistent base of running. So for me, that's 30 or 40 miles a week, just continuing to make sure I stay healthy. Because once you start training, it's such a load on your body that if you're not prepared for it, it's just really easy to get injured.
Oh yes, definitely. I can imagine myself getting injured immediately
Well,
if I
it's going to
join.
happen no matter what. I've had a few injuries, but the most important thing is just to protect yourself and be wise. And you know what? I enjoy the solitude. I enjoy it. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to audiobooks. It's really become another way for me to become educated, become better as a business owner, business as a father, better. So I get that alone time, which is really important to me. But I've also used it to try to improve myself along the way.
Wow. And I guess it becomes a lifestyle also
It
because you
is,
have
yeah.
done 28 marathons. So it's one marathon per year. Do you do it, or is it
Well,
multiple
the
marathons?
most I've ever done is 3 in 1 year. I usually average 2. This year was going to be a little bit different because I did start the year with an injury, and so it's really important to make sure you're fully healed. So I'll probably only do 1 this year. But yeah, I'm typically 2 a year. 3 a year is a lot. It really is. Just the wear and tear in your body. But I try to do at least 1 a year. I do.
Oh wow. Well, it's still inspiring because I have just been dreaming because we have here coming soon next month in May we have the 20 kilometers marathon here in Brussels. So
Yes.
everybody's really looking forward to that event, but yeah, I still do not have the courage to go there. But probably this year I will just join in the walking
Yes.
participants because
Yeah,
then
please. Yeah.
yes, and it's a different experience and it's exciting, something that you can tell to your grandchildren as well, isn't it?
Very much so. And whether you're running or attending, there's a lot of excitement around a race. There really is. Runners will say that there's nothing like race day. There really isn't. And when you run a distance race like a marathon, the actual race itself feels a lot more mental than it does physical. The training is physical. The racing is mental. But if you're in the crowd, it's wonderfully, it's celebratory. Everyone's cheering everyone on. It's such an encouraging atmosphere to be in. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to be back out there again.
Wow. And I'm excited for you too, Gordon. Well, let's
Thank you.
go on to our questions because this question, the first question, is always very interesting. I love hearing what my guests answer me about this first question. So, if you are a superhero, who would it be and why? Take note, you are the superhero, not your favorite superhero.
So when I was a kid, I read a lot of comic books. And there's a superhero that not a lot of people know of. His name was Rom the Space Knight, ROM. And so I'll give you a little bit of backstory if you don't mind. He was he became a cyborg to fight these shape-shifting aliens to protect his planet, and I love this comic book. But the aliens he fought came to Earth, and they shapeshifted, so they looked like humans, and he's there fighting them, and he's this big metal cyborg, and everyone thinks that he's doing evil because it looks like he's fighting people. But he's actually fighting these shape-shifting aliens. Now, the reason I love this comic book is, one, there was great sacrifice. He became a cyborg to fight these aliens. But then he was also misunderstood. No one really understood completely what he was doing. They thought he was doing something terrible, but he was actually protecting. And I think I related a little bit to being misunderstood. Maybe we all go through that as a child. But he had this real higher calling. He's like, I'm going to do this for others, even if I'm misunderstood, and I'll make great sacrifices. And I've just always loved that comic book. There's talks about it being a movie one day, but it wasn't a very popular comic book, but it was just one that I found that I loved. But I think that's what I enjoyed. I enjoyed that he made great sacrifice. And then, he was misunderstood, but he continued to do it even though he was misunderstood. So I think Rom would be the superhero of choice for me.
Wow. So you mean sometimes you feel misunderstood, but you still do it anyway because you believe it's for the good of
men. To complete any mission, whether it be a business or a parent, whatever the case may be, it's going to require great sacrifice. Right. But then there are times where people won't understand why you're making the choices you're making. Right. But if you have a good purpose, you're going to make those choices anyway. And maybe I didn't understand that when I was a kid, but I think now I really appreciate the question, by the way. It gave me I've never answered that question. So it really gave me a chance to go, maybe that's why I liked that comic book as a kid. But that's who I would choose. I would choose Rom.
Wow. Okay. And the number 2 question is, what is your favorite quote? That quote that you go by from day to day.
I started saying this quote a lot, I think about 2 years ago. I love reading, whether it's a physical book or listening to audiobooks. And there was a book that came out several years ago called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Just a phenomenal book. But the quote that has resonated with me from that is that we don't rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our systems. So we can say, I want to accomplish this or I want to do that. That's wonderful. But more than likely, we won't do that unless we have a system for it. So I'll, if you don't mind me speaking of running again, like I have a system for running. I know what I'm going to do every single day. It makes me go to bed at a certain time. I get my running clothes out before I go to bed and I put them at the bottom of the stairs because they're there facing me. I eat certain things. Like I have a system. Nice. And the better that system gets, the better the chance I have of succeeding. It works the same way with business. It works the same way with finances. If we have a good system, then we can hit those goals. But if we just say, I want to earn $1 million and there's no system, we're just not going to hit it. And I think in the last 2 years, that's probably the quote that I have said most to other people.
It's true. It's true because like when we don't have these systems, for example, here in the office, I used to work in a 5-star hotel here in Brussels. And in the system, in the 5-star hotel where I used to work, we needed to manage the small things, the small simple things immediately, like putting in the names of the clients, the addresses that the clients fill in when you arrive. Whereas when I worked in a 4-star and a 3-star hotel, we would just take that information paper and put it aside on a bag, and then we'll do it at the end of the week and it piles up so much that we would like, I hate this job and I don't like doing this. But when I worked in the 5-star hotel, when we did it immediately and we didn't have it took us a minute or two, for example, maybe, and then we're done with it. And that's when I really figured out, okay, this is really why 5-star hotels are different than the 3-star and the 4-star, because they pay attention on the small details, which makes life easier. The systems that you're talking about, small systems put in place, makes a huge difference in the end, isn't it, Gordon?
They really do. And I love that analogy. Thank you, Crystal. I mean, just about the system in a hotel. It's the same thing for restaurants. And as a business owner, it's the same thing when I'm coaching or training clients. If you've got a proven system, then you can tell people this is what you can expect as results. Of course, the hardest part for all of us is to follow the system.
Yeah.
But if you don't have it, you don't have really much of a chance of accomplishing the goal.
It definitely is. It's up to the client to do what he or she needs to do, because as a coach, we do our part, but we cannot help them fully if they don't do their parts.
That's right.
So
You're 100% right.
I love your quote. We don't rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our systems, by James
Yep.
Clear. I love that book. I read it recently also, I think this year. And I did the three things that you are grateful for today. I invited one person, a friend, to be my accountability partner, to be grateful every day, and it really worked like magic in both our lives. Being grateful for three simple things, it changes a lot. And so if you follow this small habits, small system, your business, your life will change immensely.
Very much so.
So I would like to ask you, you have been a pastor for 20 years, and you mentioned that you were, how do you call that, a manager in an eye clinic or an
Yes.
eye, yes. So what is your biggest why? Now that you do what you do now, Gordon, as a coach, what is your biggest why?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. When I was a pastor, and I was a pastor for 20 years, and I retired in 2020. My family made a lot of sacrifices for me to be a pastor, and I was a church planter, and that means you go to a town and start a church that where it didn't exist. And so when you do that, the family all kind of chips in, right? We all helped with music, set up chairs, worked in nursery, and everybody was wonderful. They had a great spirit about it. But my family made a lot of sacrifices of their own time and financially, a lot of them. And also, I would be gone a lot and things like that. So my business, Capitalized Marketing, I was doing that while I was a pastor, but it was a part-time job. In 2020, I stepped aside, retired, and Capitalized became my full-time job. It's what I do. And so my why became enabling my family in lots of ways. I wanted financially to be able to provide for them in a way that I had not. I've got 3 daughters. And so colleges and weddings and futures, I wanted them to not worry about those things. And I would say I probably work harder now than I did then, but I have absolute control of my time. I'm the only person who makes those decisions. So my daughter goes to college about an hour from where we live. And if she needs me, I don't have to ask anybody to go and help her. Now, again, like I said, I'm gone lots of evenings. I'm working in ways that I have. But my family is my why. I want to provide for them financially. I want to enable us to have a few things that we didn't before. I want to give them more freedom, whereas there was so much expectation placed upon them, things they had to do. I wanted them to do those things now out of choice instead out of obligation. So they're a real driver for me. The why is really my wife and my 3 daughters. I want to provide for them in a multitude of ways, not just financially, but in many ways. Whereas before, I couldn't. I'm very thankful for the years that my family and I spent in ministry. I really am. But I'm thankful for where we are now and what we're able to do.
Wow, I love it. It's true. When you think about your children, especially there in the US, I heard that it's very, very expensive to send your children to colleges. Because here in Europe, it's almost free. We pay 1,000 euros a year, and that's all we need to pay. So,
Wow.
but the taxes are quite high. So well, I would prefer to pay the taxes little by little and 1,000 euro rather than paying a whole lot of amount for the college. But then I love why your why, because most of us parents, as parents, our children are our why, isn't it? My parents came here to Europe because they wanted to give us better lives. We used to live in the Philippines. They had to let leave us when we were 6 and 7 years old. So very, very young, but the sacrifices they made, we wouldn't be here where I am, especially me, where I am now, if they didn't make that sacrifice. And I'm so grateful for them. And I'm sure your children, your beautiful daughters are grateful for what you do, and especially being present for them whenever they need you, isn't it?
My youngest the other day, my wife and I were taking her into a competition that she was a part of, and we don't get many moments like this. But she said, "I think you've been a better parent in the last 3 years." And so part of me, part of me goes, "Wait a minute, what do you mean?" But then also, it was just nice. I mean, I know that I've been more present with her and have been able to do things with her that I just wouldn't have been able to do before. So my wife and I get those opportunities now. We're really thankful.
It's true. It's true. I was talking with my old classmate from elementary in the Philippines, and now she's in Japan with her family. And she works during the night because she wants to be able to be present during the day for her children. Her children are 9 and 7. So she said, I prefer to work at nights so that during the day when the school calls me or when they're sick, I can stay at home with them. And it's really, that's always, as parents, I think that's always our biggest why, isn't it?
So
So
wonderful.
I would like to ask you, because you mentioned already where and when you started your journey as an entrepreneur. So let's move into the next question. What is the most important lesson that you have learned in your life?
Most important lesson I've learned
In your
in business. Is that what you're asking? I'm sorry.
Well, whether in business or in life itself.
Oh, in life. Wow. Well, I'm gonna have to take a sip for that one.
Go ahead.
You know, I don't want this to sound cynical because I'm not a cynical person. I'm very much an optimist. But I mean, life is extremely difficult.
It's 16 hours.
It's extremely difficult, whether it be sickness, which I never anticipated, or financially. And we have to make a decision every morning when we get up to do the things that are important and right. And don't get me wrong, there's days where me or anyone else is like, maybe you don't feel like doing what you have to do. But I mean, success in our life is really making a choice every single day to do the hard work, to love the people that really, we have to choose to love the people in our lives. You have to make that choice every single day. So I think that lesson for me is that, you've got to make a choice every single day to do what you need to do the right thing, to do the extra thing, to love the people. And if we start stacking too many days in a row where we don't make those choices, so many bad things happen. I mean, people don't feel loved. Our health declines. Our businesses don't grow. And that cycle becomes so hard to break out of. And so the disciplined life is a free life. I mean, it really is. It gets tiresome, but the disciplined life really is a free life. And we have to make those choices every single day.
I love what you said. A disciplined life is a free life. It's true indeed. It's hard in the beginning, especially when you just do everything randomly, when you don't have plans during the day. But when you have structure, when you have system, it's just so freeing because you don't need to worry about what do I need to do next? What did I forget? Did I forget my kids' food, for example? And it's true. And these small things are important to other people, probably to our family members, to our children. And I really loved when you mentioned earlier that your daughter mentioned you that you're probably the best parent the last 3 years, because it's kind of a wake up call to us, isn't it? Like, oh, how how was I doing before then? But
Yeah. Hmm.
and 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 most of the time, our kids really do what we do, not what we say. And me, myself, I do what I do because I saw what my mother used to do when she was my age. Even now, when she says, "Don't do this, don't do that," but I say, "You didn't do that, but you did this instead." So it's better to model what we want them to. If we want them to succeed, it's better to model them this
Yes.
disciplined life instead of just brushing away of the simple things that we need to do and pile up in the end, like in the hotel where I used to work, because we have to do things anyway. We have to do this simple things anyway, and it makes a whole lot difference when we
I
teach.
wholeheartedly agree.
Right. So I really love it. So Gordon, has failure shaped your life?
Failure?
Yes.
Yeah, in many ways. That's a great question. I mean, I can think of several examples. I'll start with running, if you don't mind, and I
Wow.
don't mean to spend so much time talking about running, but one of my original goals in running was to qualify for the Boston Marathon. It was really
Mhm.
hard to qualify for the Boston Marathon, and it took me 9 years to qualify for the Boston Marathon. Um, and there were many marathons I would run, and I would get close or not qualify, um, and that's just a simple thing. It's just, I mean, there's no great weight or consequence if I don't, but it taught me how to continue to try and get better and improve. That's one of the things I love about running. Um, but I can also look back at relationships where I should have showed up better. And when I was a pastor, I can look at people and I was like, I really wish I had given them, more time, or I had been more specific with them, or I wish I had said the thing I needed to say or not said. And I'm very reflective. I think through conversations I've had. I think through conversations I haven't had yet. I have a habit of journaling. I love journaling. And so when I think through, failure, when I think through things that I wish had gone better, I really do my best. I don't always, but I really do my best to try to take from that and then what do I do next? And so my day to day practice of running helps me do that. Am I getting better? Am I doing the thing? Should I have eaten that? Should I? And not in a guilt way. I don't in any way want to live out of guilt. I don't think that's the way we should live. But yes, I can look back at relationships. I can look back at leadership failures when I was a pastor, areas where I wish I'd been a better leader. Times maybe I would have said things I wish I hadn't said,
Mhm.
and they really impact me. But there's wonderful people in my life who remind me that I wasn't a failure, meaning it's not my identity. I would
Yes.
never want me or anyone else to say I am a failure because that's an identity. You might
Yes.
say I failed at
Right.
achieving a goal, and I would say okay, great, and then you start unpacking it. So I would never use it as an identifier. I would never say I am a failure, but I can
Mhm.
look at leadership. I think the biggest example, it's a long way of getting to this answer. There's some leadership failures when I was a pastor. I wish I had led better and made smarter choices, been a little
Mhm.
bit more patient a few times. That's probably examples, but running teaches it to me every day. Running humbles me every single day. And you probably out of 10 runs, probably 8 of them are frustrating, but 2 of them are successful. And it's that pattern that helps me continue to improve upon areas I might have failed in.
Wow. Yes, indeed. But wouldn't you say these failures before has shaped you as who you are now?
Yes, it's part of my desire to continually learn,
Mhm.
because we don't have enough in us. There's not
Right.
enough wisdom in us to know how to succeed after every failure. And we need books and coaches and mentors. I mean, I always tell my clients, I'm always going to have a coach. I'm a coach, but I'm going to have one. And I have a wonderful mentor. I'm very blessed. This is a very personal relationship. It's not a coach. It's a mentor who walks side by side with me. And we need those things. I need those things because I'm not wise enough to always know how to avoid something again. I need smarter and greater wisdom spoken into my life to help me, what to do when I have failed in something.
Yeah, wow. It's true. So, would you say that you are already successful in your life, Gordon?
Would I say I'm successful?
Yes.
I would say there's several areas. I'm immensely successful. I mean, very much so. I mean, I'm loved by my family. I mean, I love I mean, we have a loving relationship. Um, I run my own business that feeds my family. I'm a successful runner. I think I'm a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also say every single time I would ever say I'm a success at something, there's still part of me that wants to see those things grow. I'm not
Yeah.
ultimately successful. I still want to improve in those areas, but I don't mind at all saying there are areas like I'm a successful business owner. I'm a successful parent. I'm a successful runner.
Yeah.
But that's always tinged with a desire to be like, what's next? So yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. It's good to
Yeah.
help me kind of think through
Wow.
that.
Yes. Well, it's also good to have this kind of question because sometimes you acknowledge, oh, yeah, actually, there are some people who would wish to be where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And I can help them actually. So I can help them to be successful as a coach and things like that. So yeah, well, there are sometimes we say, well, successful people are those who have tons of money, but then, of course, not everyone who has a lot of money are successful as well.
It's true. That's true. I mean, that is an area where I do want to be more successful. I mean, I want an immensely successful financially business. I want to benefit others with that. I want to be able to give when the opportunity is to give. I have designs for a very large, successful business. And in that, I can say, well, we're successful. We're still growing. We're still alive after these years of growing a business. But my goals are much larger than what I've achieved. So it's good for me to say I see the success here, but I don't want to think I've already achieved everything yet because I haven't.
Yes, I'm sorry. Something happened with my computer.
Okay.
Yes, it's true. Let's go back. Is your goals? Are there some goals that you still want to achieve, Gordon?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, quantifiable. I mean, I want my, personally, I want my wife and I to travel Europe. I mean, I want Belgium sounds wonderful,
Yeah,
Um, personally, I want to get back to the Boston Marathon. I want to get back there, and that's not easy to do. Um, I have some very set financial goals. I want the company to hit. My wife and I are making dreams about what our next home is. I want my children, my daughters, to be able to enter into their post college life, successfully and not worry in many ways that I had to worry financially. But so I break those things down then, well, then what has to happen to get there. But those are I mean, in every area of life, I do have those goals. But like my quote at the very beginning, I've got to have the systems in place to get there. They will not happen by accident at all.
definitely. We don't rise to the level of our goals but we fall to the level of our system. Indeed.
Yep.
So this is our last question. It's already 30 minutes since we have been on our call, and I really am learning so much from you. Thank you very much once again for your time,
I'm having
Gordon.
a blast, Crystal. Thank you so much.
I learned so much from you. This is what are the three best practices that you could give and that we could implement immediately on a daily basis to be successful?
So the three practices that would help you be successful.
Yes.
Well, I think you've got to move every day. And that doesn't have to be running a marathon. It can be walking or yoga or whatever the case may be. I mean, we've got to move every day.
Right.
I would say to be successful, you have to have a coach or a mentor. You've
Right.
got to go get the wisdom you don't have. And a coach and a mentor enables you to get that wisdom quicker. I always tell folks, like, if my coach is 10 years ahead of me, when I pay them, I'm purchasing their 10 years. It won't take me 10 years now. It might take me 12 months.
Right.
But like I literally get to purchase all their wisdom. So I would say you've got to move every day. I would say you have a coach and a mentor. And then the third one is the hardest one for me, Crystal. And that is to be present when you're with your family. It'd be great to be present with everybody, but most especially when you're with your family, be present with them. I'm very aware of that as in August, all my daughters are going to be gone. They're going to be off in their lives.
Wow.
And so my youngest now is 17. So when I get time with her, I'm very aware right now that I have so little of it left. Now, I will see her,
Yeah.
but like she comes home from work at 9:30. I'm going to stay up and wait for her. And that just that, like, hey, how was your day? And she might be grumpy in a bad mood. She really might. But I get that moment with her. So that's an area I want to improve on. I want to make sure I'm present when I am with them. But so mine would be move every day, get a coach or mentor, and then be present with the people you love.
Wow, I love it. Move every day, walking, yoga, some running. Have a coach or mentor. Get wisdom that you don't have. It's true. When they have 10 years of experience, you don't need to pay 10 years in school for that. So that
Yep.
it could be a shortcut. And in my business, actually, I've always thought that I am here because I always ask questions. I always ask somebody, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me do this? And I thought I was cheating because I'm asking people, how do we do this? Because I don't like, well, for me, I don't love reading before. When I was younger, I hate reading. My mom would make me read and make me recite poems so bad that I would cry and just make up stuff. I don't want to do this. So, and so growing up, I really didn't like reading. But then now, as an adult, I devoured books. I listen to podcasts. I listen to audiobooks. I have books in my office at home, and my children says, "Mom, have you read all those books?" I said, "Yeah." And it's really when you hear and listen, read, the world just becomes a smaller place. And actually, COVID has made the world smaller also. Just look at you and me in Europe and US now. It wouldn't happen. I wouldn't have known you if COVID hadn't happened, and I wouldn't have jumped into a call with Corient One or with Jaylee, and I wouldn't know people like you, and I wouldn't learn from you. And it's just shows that when you get wisdom from others and you can implement them immediately because they know how it works, and they will tell you this doesn't work, that absolutely works, then of course you apply what they tell you, and instead of making the mistakes that they did and learn it the hard way. So it's really important to have a good coach and a good mentor that you really can connect with and who can understand where you are right now and will really hold you by the hand and say, okay, let's go and let's do this. I believe in you, because that's what we really need as people. We need someone who can really encourage us. And I know, Gordon, you are a good coach. Talking to you just right now and watching your videos, I have been inspired with your videos
Thank you.
from before, and I'm so happy to be able to spend time with you here. And lastly, to be present. It's true. Our children grow up so fast. My kids are now 15, 13, and 11, and I used to go with them in school trips and when they have school swimming and stuff like that, and they really just say thank you, mom, thank you for your time. And like I mentioned earlier with my friend, her parents used to go bring her food during the lunch breaks in the Philippines. And I was so jealous of her because my parents are 10,000 kilometers away from us. We in the Philippines, them here in Europe. And I was so jealous that she had her parents bringing her warm food during lunch breaks, and I would just eat by myself. And that makes a lot of difference. So being present with your family. Like I said before, I'm so grateful that my parents went abroad, but there are just times that when your children, as a person, you say, oh, I wish I had that also. And so it's better to really be present when you have time, because it's not always like you said in June, your children will grow their wings and fly the nest, and so it's not permanent. So be present, and it's really a wonderful thing, a best practice to be present, because we forget that in the
I'm
very
sure.
busy dinner that we try to give everything to our children, but most sometimes our time is what they need, not the money
Mhm.
that we earn. So I just love it. Is there anything, if, for example, um, one last crystal clear gem that you could share to our viewers? Is there something that you would really, if they forget everything else, but not this one, what would it
Sure.
be?
Yeah, and Crystal, thank you for asking me that. At our company, Capitalize Marketing, we have an expression called capitalize your best. And so at our company, we believe that everyone has in just built into them inherent gifts and talents. And we enjoy helping people develop that to grow their businesses or hit their goals. And so my encouragement is that we all have that. Maybe you don't know what it is yet, but there's a gifting and talent within you that I believe God wants you to grow. And when you develop it and grow it, you're able to be the most happy you can be. You're able to serve better than you could ever imagine serving. And it's that, the modern day expression is the best version of yourself. Well, what I would say is that, you know, you've been gifted with wonderful gifts and talents, and growing it and developing it to make its biggest impact is really what's going to give us our greatest joy. So that's what I would encourage everyone with.
Develop your gifts, capitalize
Well,
your
Crystal, I greatly enjoyed spending time with you. It was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for reaching out to me.
Thank you so much, Gordon. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.